Good morning, Internet. Let's see, January 10th, day 10, 200 hours fasted, down to 142.4. And then check this out. This is really neat. Look what popped up on this day. I have been training for this for years. So that was just a nice little encouragement from myself to myself, like, hey, you're experienced, you know what you're doing. Stop doubting yourself. So as far as, let's see, physical, mental check-ins, triumphs, and struggles, I am in my creative mode. It's so weird. It's like there's this like time loop hack, and I discussed this in my 30-day fast, where like time becomes so much more expansive when I'm not eating, which is weird because it's not like it takes up that much of my time to consume food. I'm normally multitasking doing stuff anyway, but I just have all this much more time to do things and accomplish things. So yesterday it was a baking spree. What else? It's just, my, there's some noises going on in the pits of my insides. I feel good, but it sounds like empty caves. But I don't seem to be struggling. It feels a little boring. I feel like there should be more for you. But let's get you some facts about prolonged fasting from Dr. Berg's site. Again, if you have any questions that I can address directly, please drop them down in the comments. Facts about prolonged fasting from Dr. Berg's website, and then some facts about the Christ oil. Decreased tumor growth. So when you're fasting, you deplete your sugar reserves, right? Your body starts to run on ketones and fatty acids. Very simply, ketones are the byproduct of your fat being burned. It's an alternative fuel source for the body. Instead of running on glucose for fuel, you switch to running on ketones, which in turn helps you burn fat. Ketones are the body's preferred fuel source, and it's much more efficient for heart and brain functioning. The absence of carbohydrates triggers ketones. You have to stop consuming carbohydrates and let your body switch over and adapt to using ketones. This is where the ketogenic diet comes in, and it helps you make the switch. Tumors cannot survive with ketones. They're starved off. So if you have a tumor, whether it's a polyp, a cyst, boils, fibroids, you need to try prolonged fasting. Now, Dr. Berg also wants to point out that cancer lives on sugar. So another added benefit of fasting and depleting your sugar reserves is you could starve cancer as well. Now, there's tons of research on this. I haven't dug terribly deeply on it, but I know somebody who has, and we've discussed it a little bit. You can starve off cancer with prolonged fasting. There are some cancers that can be accelerated by fasting, so do your own research. But whoa, let's get into some Christ oil stuff. All right, once more, I'm reading to you from Kelly Marie Kerr's Sacred Secretion. We're into the process number 4, where the pineal and the pituitary streams merge in the spleen to produce the seed. So this part of the inner alchemy is a little understood, but those who are familiar with the Sacred Secretion will know that it was George Carey in The God-Man, the Word Made Flesh, who highlighted the birth of the monthly Jesus seed in Bethlehem, the house of breads, or the solar plexus. So every 29 and a half days, a seed is born, or out of the solar plexus, the oil, the pituitary potency, unites with the mineral salts, the pineal potency, and thus produces the monthly seed, which goes into the vagus. But what is the scientific evidence for this seed, and what is the role in preserving and raising the sacred secretion for superconscious awakening? Let's take a closer look. The pituitary and pineal streams flow down from the brain through the left and right sides of the autonomic nervous system. These channels are also known as the Eta and Pingula Natus. They then continue through the semilunar ganglion, esoterically known as the Sea of Galilee, which carries the two potencies or streams to the solar plexus, which innervates the spleen. In the spleen, the two potencies merge and conceive or generate the seed in the spleen. The spleen is where we find the modern scientific parallel of this historical symbolic description. The spleen is part of the lymphatic water system. It contains the all-important germinal central, symbolically known as the manger, and this is where Jesus is born. Jesus is the germ/seed of life. The spleen's germinal center is a site of multipotent stem cells production. Therefore, the esoteric Jesus seed germ cell is parallel with the waterborne stem cells generated by the union of the pituitary lunar potency and the pineal solar potency. Multipotent stem cells are infant cells which have the ability to become many types of bodily cells. Thus, through their production, we are replenished, invigorated, and renewed at a cellular level from the inside out. Let's take a look at how the two potencies combine to form the seeds of cell life. Okay, so in her book here, and I'm not going to go through this part, but there's an awesome, awesome display. Buy the book, read the stuff. But the inner alchemical sacred secretion process is parallel with the body's monthly cellular mitosis. Remember, we talked about mitosis with prolonged fasting? Professor Hotema was referring to this process when he said, the spirit, a fiery nucleus, pineal potency, of noetic intelligence is plunged into the fluidic habitat of a body of watery flesh, the pituitary potency. When explaining how cells operate and preserve themselves, Professor Hotema said the cytoplasm, protoplasm, of the cells surrounding the nucleus is a negative, lunar alkaline, element. The nucleus is a positive, solar acid element. This makes the cell, seed, a bipolar mechanism, and the acid-alkaline balance is imperative for life. In short, every cell is bipolar, lunisolar, pituitary pineal potency based, and the production of the proliferation, mitosis, of physiological stem cells in the body is what the masters once referred to as Jesus being born in Bethlehem. She goes on to talk about her other books here, so I'm just going to go ahead and leave it there for process 4. Tomorrow we'll get into process 5. I hope you learned a lot. I love how this is all coming together. Thank you for following along. Again, if you have any comments as far as how I'm handling this personally, I can address that in the physical mental check-ins, the triumphs and the struggles, or any questions really in particular to prolonged fasting or the Christ oil. I am happy to help you in your healing journey. I love you. God loves you. Be blessed.